I was going to ask you a side question of, have you ever been fined from PSA from that? Being
No.
outspoken?
No, but I've been totally ostracized by the players.
From the players? Wow.
Yeah. Well, everyone can bitch about it all they want in the changing rooms, but then say the opposite online. And it's like, what are you talking about? Like the whole, so I didn't play a tournament in Saudi Arabia. I don't know if you know.
Yeah, I heard about this.
It. Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah. No, but please, would love to get the more context out of this.
I just didn't enter it. And it was only when another promoter asked my dad, he was coaching another player at the time in a men's tournament. And this guy just said to my dad, "Oh, Emily's not playing the platinum in Saudi." And he went, "She won't." Like my parents were trying to tell me to go, just go, take the points, whatever. I'm like, no. And he just told this guy that I wasn't playing, and the response was, "I think it's brilliant." Apparently this dude he was like, "Oh yeah, I work with Amnesty International sometimes," and blah blah blah. So obviously it's going to go down a tree. And then he, out of nowhere, Rod Gilmore phones me up for like an interview. And so I'm on the way back from league at this point. So I put him on my Bluetooth speaker and I just drove an hour and 20 at like 50 miles, like steady. There was no one on the road. So I was like, okay, Rod, I'm in the car.
Yeah.
I could talk to you, but like, I'm driving. So like it's on Bluetooth. It's okay. But what do you want to ask me? And he just went, why aren't you playing? So I was just like, well, would you want your wife and daughter to play? Probably not. And then I just went off. I actually did my research, so I knew about the whole thing. I was like, there's no one going to be watching. There's no one going to be doing this. And yeah, gave my reasons. And he was like, I'm going to put it in the Times. Because there was a Russian chess player who refused to play in Saudi as well for the same reasons as me.
Mm-hmm.
Totally separate story. Like we had never heard of each other, obviously, but that was happening at the same time as me, apparently. And so he just knew about it and was like, I want to put this in the Times. And he's a pretty well respected journalist. He's written about squash for years. He does a load of the GB hockey and other things. So I was like, yeah, go for it. But I was like, I know this isn't a done thing. I was like, is there any way you can just vet me first? And he did. He let me, because obviously when you write and he wants to put his own spin on it, I was just like, don't twist anything. Like, I know how this game works. But I didn't do journalism at uni. Like, I don't want to do it. I just don't want you to start twisting anything I said, because I haven't said anything for you to twist.
Mm-hmm.
And you know my dad, there's always that threat as well, because my dad played and he knows my dad. So I was like, my dad will get you. He let me vet it and he let me read it. I read it with my parents and it was true. The whole thing was factual. I didn't say anything about, oh, they're bad for doing this tournament and this. It was literally like, there's a tournament on. I don't want to go. Anyway, so I then just retweeted it, because that was a thing you did back then, or you X'd it. Because I was in the Times.
Yeah.
Like, it was cool that I was in the Times.
Mm-hmm.
And my photo wasn't totally minging, because it was an action shot of me playing squash. So I was like, this is cool. And I got a load of praise from people when I saw them at league, mostly from men as well. It wasn't, for me, it was nothing to worry about. I just chose not to play a tournament. I didn't want to go about it in blasting it on social media. Someone found out, they asked me about it, and that's how it happened. But when I shared it online, because I was part of the England system at the time, just all the girls in the England team at that point, just wrote these indirect digs online, using the same words that I did, to sort of spin it and make it sound sarcastic and nasty and whatever. People started they started then replying to things going on about, oh, you've got no morals because you're going to switch to Wales. That wasn't true at that time, actually, because that was a whole bit. Yeah, you've got no morals at this point, ironically from a player who was known for behaving like an absolute tit on court, and she's now coaching children, which I just don't agree. So that's a whole thing as well. And then when I went to tournaments, people who were faces of this PSA Foundation, like mental health ambassadors, totally blanked me, totally stopped talking whenever I walked past them, made me feel as uncomfortable as possible, whispered. If they wanted to speak to each other, they whispered when I was in the room, in the changing rooms, totally blanked me. And these are grown women. It was like being back at school. I mean, I fortunately never really experienced this at school, but it was like I was at school. And a lot of them are still playing now. And a lot of them promote how you should be kind to everybody and how you should, respect equality and not slag me off at the fact I'm in a same-sex marriage or relationship or whatever. A lot of people are just, it didn't make sense.